So my most read story of this year, and actually my most read column that I've written for Kansas Reflector since starting here in the summer of 2021, was headlined, "A Kansas Town Chose Cruelty, Now It Mourns as the Mayor Faces Voter Fraud Charge and Deportation." It's about the tiny town of Coldwater and its mayor, Joe Ceballos, who has been charged with felony voter fraud by Attorney General Chris Kobach. My column basically makes the point that while the town of Coldwater has been very supportive of its mayor and folks there really like Joe, I just pointed out that the town had voted overwhelmingly for both Republican President Donald Trump and for Kansas Republican Attorney General Chris Kobach, both of whom have made deportation of undocumented migrants really cornerstones of their appeal to the public. Joe Ceballos actually has a green card. He's not undocumented, but he also should not have been registered to vote. I have to say, it was a column that I wrote because I had read an excellent profile of Joe Ceballos by Roy Wenzel, formerly of the Wichita Eagle. And Roy wrote this story, and it was really, it had a really great human interest elements and some real heart to it. And I just thought, man, this is so, you can really just feel all the contradictions here in this small town. And it seemed like a really obvious column to me to write. I don't think it was something that ultimately anyone else in Kansas wrote. And it gained tremendous attention, and actually a lot of feedback from the town as well. A lot of people were somewhat upset with the column, not because anything was factually at issue there, but just more because they felt like, we're a small town, you're coming in and judging us. And really, I tried not to do that. I didn't try to single anyone out. But, it was definitely a story and an issue where, passions were running very, very high.
So tell me about, as you look back on this year, what your favorite story of the year was.
Well, I usually write 2 to 3 columns a week, and most of the time I want to feel like the column that I'm writing next is going to be my favorite, or at least have a shot at being my favorite. But I would say that of the pieces that I wrote, the column specifically about how Kansas legislative Republicans were meeting. So that the headline of this column was, "Kansas House GOP has gathered secretly throughout 2025 session, doing people's business in the dark." I thought that was the column I wrote this year that was most important. And that I was proudest of. Now, I don't know if I would necessarily say it was the best or whatever, but it's the one that I was happiest with because it was something that really the House GOP caucus started doing, and because of shifts in coverage at the State House in terms of who the reporters were and who was showing up, people didn't really catch on. We knew that they had been doing some meetings privately, but by and large, for decades, the way it's been has been that reporters could come in and watch as these legislators got ready for the day and kind of figured out what business was going to be on the floor, broadly speaking, how they were going to vote. And the fact that they then closed these meetings to the press was actually a big blow to transparency. And what was interesting about it was that no one was really willing to talk about it or to go on the record to say that they'd even done this. I ended up going personally just to the meetings for where they were holding the meetings for a week, just to see that every day they were closing it off and were not allowing members of the public to go. I talked to a large number of folks, many on the record, some off the record, to just kind of figure out what was going on. And so to me, that was it was an exhausting thing to put together because really it was one of those things where if one source had just told me, oh, yeah, this is what we're doing, that could have all been prevented. But I thought it was something that was really important for our readers to know about.
So, as an extra question, do you do New Year's resolutions, Clay? And what might those be if you do?
I try to do New Year's resolutions, but I seldom remember or fulfill them. However, it is always good to resolve to have a good exercise routine in the new year.
That's great. I love it.